Hello and welcome to InsidePiano video tutorials. Federico Antoni here. As usual, I'd like to thank all of you subscribers for watching the videos and for all of your wonderful comments and questions. I've received several emails and inquiries to move at a slower pace and for certain concepts to be explained in greater detail. Although YouTube is a great platform, to be able to introduce you to these musical concepts, it's not the right interface to be able to teach piano and music in such depth. That's why I wanted to let you know that I'm developing a new piano course that will be available soon at InsidePiano.com, in which you'll be able to see all the concepts you see on these videos in greater detail, but also including the exercises, ear training, PDF files, and everything required for you to get the right practice. But most importantly, you'll be able to follow the right order from A to Z instead of just disconnected videos about different subjects. On the last few videos, we talked about jazz piano improvisation. Today we're going to talk about the use of suspended notes in musical composition and how the law of gravity affects the melody and harmonic resolutions. To be able to understand this concept, we first need to know what is it that produces these harmonic and melodic movements. Music is a language, and although it has certain similarities with the spoken language, music is a gravitational language. We can say that tonal music is governed by the law of gravity. That's why we have the so-called tonal centers. Harmonic and melodic movements happen around these tonal centers. The tonal centers are the strongest centers of gravity within a tonality. Just like the Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn has the strongest gravity pull in our solar system. In the case of the musical notes, there are certain notes that are gravitationally stronger than the others, and these are basically the notes of the chords. Again, this subject of gravity and music will be explained with more detail on our new piano video tutorial course coming up soon to our website at InsidePiano.com. But basically, the melodic movements are produced when we move away from stability or from these tonal centers. When the notes move away from these tonal centers, gravity starts pulling down back to these tonal centers. Basically, it is gravity what's doing the job for us. The only thing we have to do is just move away from a tonal center and let gravity take over. For example, if we play the A minor chord, the A minor chord tonal centers are A, C, and E. A is the tonic, and so it is the strongest gravity center. All the other notes are pulled back to it. Once we move away from the tonic, gravity starts pulling down. If we are on C, C is pulled back to A. If we are on E, E can be pulled back to C, which eventually will be pulled back to A. But also E can be pulled upwards to A. And this A can go back to E and continue down to C, which eventually will end up back to A. This is how melodic movements are created. They are governed by the effects of gravity, which in music are known as the harmonic or melodic resolutions. Now that we understand this concept, we can say that the suspensions are simply a delay of these harmonic or melodic resolutions. The most common suspensions are over the ninth and the fourth. For example, on A minor, the ninth of A is B, so then we can suspend the scale by stopping on B, creating therefore a suspension that will eventually resolve back to A. Now, by changing the chord to E7, it becomes a suspension which in this case resolves to the major third, and eventually gravity pulls it back down to the tonic. Allow me to demonstrate this concept using a melody I composed using this idea over the A harmonic minor scale. Using a typical chord progression of the harmonic minor scale. A minor, E7, E7, A minor, A7, D minor, G7, C, E7, A minor, F, F7, E7, and back to A minor. Let's play it first so you can hear the effect that it is produced by delaying these resolutions. Please pay attention how the melody plays around hanging over the ninth and the fourth to postpone these resolutions. The song begins over A minor, and the melody starts over E, which is the fifth. From there, we move down through the scale and create a suspension over the fourth of E7 that resolves to the major third. Suspension over the flat 9, scale down to the minor 9, resolving to the minor third. Tonic of A7, scale and suspension over the ninth of D minor, resolving to the minor third. Now from the tonic of G, scale down and suspension over the fourth of C major, resolving to the major third. Tonic of E7 with the arpeggio to the fifth, gravitating down to the minor third of A. Scale and suspension over the major third of F, we add the minor 7 on the chord, resolving to the major third of E. Now the piano will continue repeating the same motif, while the soprano comes in with the melody. Using the same technique, suspending the melodic resolutions over the ninth and the fourth, and we're going to also add the suspended sixth. Beginning with the A minor arpeggio, to C that becomes a minor 6 suspension over E7, resolving to the fifth. E7 arpeggio up to D that becomes a suspended ninth over the A minor, resolving to the third. Now A7 arpeggio up to G that becomes the suspended fourth of D minor, resolving to the minor third. G7 arpeggio up to the seventh that becomes the suspended fourth of C, resolving to the major third. E7 beginning on the suspended flat 9 to D that is the suspended fourth of A minor, resolving to the minor third. Now the third of F major to the suspended sixth of E7, resolving to the fifth, which brings us to the final resolution over the tonic of A minor. These are the effects of gravity over a melody using triad chords. But when we use seventh chords using extensions, the effect of gravity become weaker. The chord extensions function like a kind of anti-gravity, in which the notes float without necessarily being pulled down to the tonic. This happens because our ear is used to hear these jazz alterations. Adding extensions would be like putting the notes in orbit, in which the force of gravity still has its influence, but it's not strong enough to force these notes to come back to the center. I'm going to use another composition I made to illustrate this concept, in which I purposely use chord extensions and melodic suspended notes constantly to demonstrate this case. Pay attention how the notes stay floating around the tonal centers, without necessarily being pulled down to them. Let's use the following chord progression. 1, 6, 4, 2 on the key of F major. That will be F major 7, 9, D minor 7, 9, B flat major 7, 9, G minor 7, 9. And on the melody, let's play the verse, always falling over the major 9. The major 9 of F is G, the major 9s of D minor is E, the major 9s of B flat is C, the major 9s of G minor is A. G over F, E over D, C over B flat, and A over G. Now pay attention on this melody how these major 9ths stay in orbit. Okay, now we move to the Phrygian mode. But again, G over F, E over D, C over B flat, and A over G. Major 9 of F major 7, major 9 of D minor 7, major 9 of B flat major 7, major 9 of G minor 7, tonic of A7, fourth of A minor, that now would be the 11th, major third of B flat major 7, minor third of D minor 7, again major third of B flat major 7, resolving to the tonic of A. Now we continue with the bridge using major thirds. Major third of B flat, major third of C, major third of B flat, major third of C, major third of F. Tonic of G, fifth of A, fifth of D minor. Tonic of G, fifth of A, major seventh of B flat, to the tonic of A7. Now the chorus, major 9 of D minor, sharp 11 of B flat 7, major 9th of G, tonic of A. Again, the same thing. Sharp 11 of B flat 7, tonic of G, tonic of A. Now we move to the solo. D minor, B flat 7, G minor 7, A7. Again, D minor, B flat 7, G minor 7, A7. Now we can use the scales we learned on our last video. Diminished scale, going down by thirds, continue descending to the G minor 7 and resolving back to A7. And there we have the song. I hope today's video was helpful, and remember, all of these concepts will be available on our piano course coming soon to InsidePiano.com. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and also subscribe to our website to stay informed about our course. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.